The Coos County John Doe, 1971. The Coos County John Doe was a teenage boy who was found in Snedden Creek in Coos Bay, Oregon. He was found on July 29, 1971, located inside of the creek near Coquille, Oregon. This young man was probably 14 to 18, short of stature, maybe 5'4" to 5'6", and around 150 pounds. He had long, light brown hair, and he was wearing Wrangler jeans and a turtleneck. A reconstruction of the boy was made by Parabon Nanolabs. Using DNA phenotyping, Parabon Nanolabs comes up with an often very accurate picture of what a person may have looked like. In my opinion, their DNA analysis composites are usually far more accurate than the artist depictions that we usually find. There is unfortunately very little information in this case. The Coos County John Doe has gone unidentified for 50 years. The Coos County John Doe, 1972, also known as Veteran Dee. In August of 1972, the skeletal remains of an older Caucasian male were found in a brushy area off of Highway 101 in Coos County, Oregon. Possibly the best clue to his identity is that he had a full upper and lower denture plate. Investigators concluded that it was likely that dentures were made for a patient in Seattle by the U.S. Public Health Services Hospital in 1966. Unfortunately, that hospital is closed and the associated paperwork is long gone. The hospital was established to care for servicemen and families. This leads to the speculation that he was in the military or the Merchant Marines at some point. Based on the age estimates from the crime lab, John Doe was born between 1902 and 1912. This means that if it's correct, he was too young for World War I. By the time he was 18, he would have been included in the draft, meaning that he was likely in the military between 1920 and the 1930s, or perhaps even longer if he made it his career. It is because of this likelihood that he's known as Veteran Doe. Veteran Doe has gone unidentified for 49 years. The Denver John Doe, 1990. The Denver John Doe was an adult male found deceased in the Denver area on November 5, 1990. Passerbys noticed human remains found on the end of the highway. He was wearing a brown jacket with a white furry lining, a gray long-sleeve shirt, and he was carrying a brown wallet. He was 5'7", 120 pounds. The City of Denver's official website has almost no information. I couldn't even find an estimate to age. In fact, this John Doe doesn't even come on the list of unsolved crimes within the Denver website, although they do have a John Doe that's 5 years newer listed on there. It's just really sad how easy people fall through the cracks. Seems like a good time, however, to say God bless Carl Koppelman. He does so many of these images in hopes they will help identify someone. Without him doing that, I wouldn't have found what is included here. The listing that Carl contributed to said that he was 30 to 35 years old, with brown hair, brown eyes, a goatee, and notably bushy eyebrows. Sadly, those two listings were the bulk of what I found about this John Doe, and this is all of it combined. It seems incredibly disrespectful and negligent to offer so little information. Personally, it makes me think that they're not trying very hard to find out who this man was in life. So this especially, if anyone has any information at all in this case, please call the Denver Police Department. I provided the information on the screen. The Denver John Doe has gone unidentified for 31 years. The Hewitt, Texas John Doe, 1978. Also known as Disco Dan. In April 1978, a drainage worker found the body of an unidentified man in a culvert. This would prompt a homicide investigation that has become the Hewitt Police Department's oldest unsolved case. It's believed he was in his 20s to 30s, meaning he was born around the late 1940s to the late 1950s. Dan's cause of death was a single gunshot to the back of his head. The current sheriff's office seemed to indicate that not a lot was done on this case when it happened, saying that they didn't have enough people to investigate, and the sheriff's office back then only had 2 people. The case at the time was eventually taken over by the county sheriff's office, saying that throughout the years it just got lost in the shuffle. Although it's been a long time, they haven't given up on identifying the man they named Disco Dan, and have hopes that new technology will eventually break the case into who he was in life. Dan had 3 tattoos, as shown on the screen, including the word peace, the letters RB, and a cross inside of a heart. He had a mustache and a small goatee when he was found. His shirt, shown here, was a disco style that was trendy at the time, and he was also wearing a puka shell necklace with black beads. A Snoopy medallion was found near his body. Sadly, they do not even have DNA. They know he was buried in an unmarked pauper's grave in McLennan County Cemetery. They know the general vicinity where his body was placed, but it was never marked, and they don't seem inclined to try to find it. They described finding his body as next to impossible, despite knowing the general area. The authorities worked with the Texas Rangers in the past several years. A sketch artist with the Texas Department of Public Safety recently created a new depiction of Disco Dan. Anyone with information about any missing person matching his description should contact the Hewitt Police Department. I've included the number for your convenience. Disco Dan has gone unidentified for 43 years. The Trabuco Canyon John Doe, also known as the SoCal John Doe, 1996. On December 13, 1996, investigators were called to the report of human remains found in a wilderness area east of Trabuco Creek Road. Based on the condition of the remains, investigators at the time estimated they had been there for about 2 years, figuring our John Doe had gone missing in 1995 or 1996. It's important to remember that these estimates are not always accurate. They believe him to be in his mid-teens to 24, putting his date of birth in the vicinity of the early 1970s to mid-1980s. They recently did a CT scan of his skull, and they have released new images. They believe he was either Caucasian or Hispanic, 14 to 25, with red or sandy brown hair. He was 5'2 to 5'8, with a medium build, and he had teeth in very poor condition, so he may not have had access to dental care. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Orange County Coroner Division by calling the Sheriff's Department at the number provided. The SoCal John Doe has gone unidentified for 25 years. That's it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. Take care of yourselves and each other.